Shelly.
Hold on one second. Did you say recuperating from a day of worship?
That's what I said, girl. Listen, some of
Yeah,
us,
somebody must have been slain in the spirit.
girl, when you go out and go hard in the paint, listen, the Holy Ghost will wear your body out. Let me tell you something about
Hard in
the
the
Holy
paint
Ghost will
at
wear your
church.
body out.
Okay.
You feel good. You feel good. You going in, you clapping. And those of you that believe in shouting, you singing, you going up, you got your hands up. Your arms don't get tired, right?
Never.
You go
Till you
home, you
get
come
home.
down, your arms are sore. You like, what did I do to myself?
Right.
You know,
He's a cargo
I'm just
hustle.
saying.
Welcome in.
Yes.
Sometimes you just need an afternoon nap. I'm just saying. Cargo Hustler, official Jamia, thank you for
Well,
coming
y'all,
in.
before we get started,
Go
I
ahead.
just have to let you know I finally got to hold my new grandbaby. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. I was so excited. So they've been home for a couple of days, and and so I'm letting them adjust to, family, a family of four now instead of just three. And
Mm-hmm.
so today I went over, and oh my goodness, I just fell in love all over again.
I know you did.
Mhm.
I know you did.
I did. I did.
She's such a precious baby.
Yes.
And we're
Yes.
so thankful
Hey y'all,
for,
welcome in. Welcome in.
for a healthy baby. That's why I said this. What she had just said before we saw your text. She said, "Is Cynthia coming?" I said, "I don't know." But you know, sometimes the baby visits, them babies get a hold of your
Ooh,
heartstrings. You might be there a
girl,
good minute.
that's all right. I held her the whole time I was there.
I
And my
know.
daughter's like, Mom, you want to put her down? My arms was she heavy, girl. 9 pounds and
Ooh.
8 ounces. So
Ooh.
I kept rotating arms. I'm like, no, I got her. No, I got her.
I mean, I saw the picture, but I ain't know she was nine
You didn't
Yeah,
pounds,
see
almost
it
it's
at
10
first. I
pounds.
looked
her.
at her and bust out laughing. She wasn't look, and she wasn't trying to save your iron. She trying to save her arm because she said if you
Uh-huh.
leave here and this baby get to crying, I'm gonna have to hold her.
But
Facts.
she
That's
is
facts.
such a quiet, content. Like she
Really?
only opened her eyes up to look around, then she closed them. I was like, she is so opposite of my older grandbaby, which was wanting all CC attention. She like, CC, you came over here for me. I don't know what you're doing with this baby. Thank y'all.
Hello, everybody.
Bias just grow with me. Cape Cod walking
The
with
winning walk with
Christina. All
Christina.
right, winning walk with Christina. Thank y'all for coming on. Thank y'all for being here. All right, Shelly,
Yes.
I'm gonna put it in your hands if you ready. Can you snack and talk? Hmm?
Oh,
Well, only because your name is listed. If not, we can
well,
rotate.
y'all gonna jump in. So the first topic is what?
Raised beds.
Which
Well,
is the heading though is what types of gardening? I don't have the
methods of
list in front of
growing.
me. Methods of growing. Okay.
Hmm.
So I volunteered too. I don't know how much I'm gonna say, but I can talk when I want to talk. Um, my preferred method of growing is in raised beds.
Hmm.
What's a raised bed, you may ask? A raised bed is any type of structure that is that sits on or above your regular ground surface. Does that make sense? And you fill it with your soil preference. Some people, so let me first say, your raised bed can be many heights.
Mhm. Oh, can
I
you
see
check
a
that?
comment about adding the other Queen's channel to your description.
They're in,
Oh, in my description, yeah, I can do that. I can do
Okay.
that.
So a raised bed can be of varying heights. It can be a matter of 4 inches, it could be 8 inches, 16 inches, it could be 1 foot, it could be like myself, 2 feet. Okay.
hmm
Because listen,
Your height or the bed?
the height of my bed.
Oh,
What
I didn't know what you was referencing.
ooh, you just slid that one in there. I feel like I'm taller than you, CC, so don't play me.
You not.
We go How tall is you?
I'm 5'5".
Oh yeah, you got me, boo. I'm just gonna sip my tea on that one. So back to what I was saying, raised beds. So my preferred height currently is 2 feet high raised beds. I have beds that are 2 feet that are 8 feet long, 6 feet long. And then I also have a couple of raised beds that are only like 4 to 6 inches. Those were probably my first raised beds. And so oftentimes to fill that much space, people will fill those beds with branches and things. I don't want to cross over too much into, I think we're going to talk about soil types later on, but you can fill those beds because it's going to take a lot of soil to fill a bed that high. I personally chose to have bulk soil bought in so that I could fill it from the bottom to the top with soil. And the benefit in, I feel like, in me doing that, oftentimes after the first year, 2 years, people start to complain about their beds bowing out or going in. And I think it's because the material that they have put on the bottom is breaking down, and so it's causing your soil to sink, and it causes your beds, if it's metal, mine is galvanized or steel, it will cave in, and then you have to add more soil to it. And so I have filled all my beds with soil pretty much from the bottom to the top. Your raised bed can be made of galvanized steel. It could be wood. It could be some other type of metal. It could be cinder blocks. What else? Am I missing any?
Anything?
Yeah,
people have used tires. People have. I don't recommend a tire.
Fencing. You can use fencing and
you can use fencing. You can use pallets,
roofing tins, roofing tins. So whatever you can find that works. I use raised beds as well, and like Shelly, they're varying heights. I do want to mention that I don't know. Some people call them raised beds. Some people call them containers. So Shelly said the ones that sit on the ground, the ones that have legs, I don't think they're considered raised beds because they're already off the ground anyway. So those
I think they're more like elevated, but I don't know if that's a proper term. Elevated beds.
Yeah, it's called elevated raised beds.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, so what I was going to say, let me just interrupt you just a moment, Rashida. As my dear friend Rashida says, I'm a woman of a particular age, and bending down low to the ground for hours on end is not the business. When you're a woman of a particular age.
What's a particular age? Okay. That is so funny. I think I stole that off of somebody.
You can be 30 and be a woman of a particular age and don't do all that bending.
There's a particular age. At that whatever age you are, when you feel like you don't want to get down on no knees and till that soil and be scratched up and in the ants, let somebody else do it.
Come here, Nikki.
Anything else about?
Did you finish your thought on the elevated beds?
Yeah, I think so, girl. I don't know.
She said, "When your knees say no, man." You know what? Educated natural, and I get that. For some people, it is the knees. For other people, it's the back. Like my knees don't really bother me.
And sometimes it's just I don't want to.
Right. I just don't want to have to bend down that far for that long. Because when I tell y'all, I spent the 2 days prior to me leaving for my vacation setting up my garden, which is absolutely phenomenal. Y'all gotta wait to see it though. Literally 6 to 7 hours in the garden. And so I was grateful for the raised beds. I was grateful.
Okay, before we go on from the raised beds, we had a congratulations. I didn't mention that earlier, but congratulations for Cynthia's new grandbaby. Donzel said, "Beautiful hair, Shelly."
Thank you.
Shelly's hair turn. I forgot. I'm like, she took her hair down. Okay, girl, I see you.
Listen.
And CC got her hair slicked back too. Y'all doing all the stuff.
Girl, I got enough to look. Put a little ponytail back there.
Yeah, and then like a little ponytail. I ain't got my color done because I told y'all it was a sight. but God is good. Okay, thank God
Yes,
for the
he is
hands
all the time.
of the
Yeah, I just
stylist.
took down last week, 2 weeks ago. I had those little barrel things, and I literally just took them down
Mm-hmm.
today while I was driving down the road. I'm in
Mm-hmm.
Georgia, by the way. I'm in Georgia for the week.
All right, enjoy. Anybody in
What?
Georgia?
All right.
Georgia meetup. Right. All right. Next. Well, I don't want to skip categories. So since we're already in growing methods, let's talk about in ground. Nobody picked that topic because Jackie didn't tell me which, and she probably could talk to all of it. But Cynthia, you want to talk about in ground growing?
Sure. I do in-ground growing. Right now, for my in-ground growing, I have okra coming up in one of the beds, and let's see what else I got in ground. Sunflowers.
Hey,
I got my sunflowers in another in-ground bed. So pretty much what in-ground bed is, you're growing it out of the natural soil that you have on your property. So that's what it is. You know, some people till it, some people, just they may put soil on top of it or whatever and still use like mixing soil with their native soil. And I mean, I'll till a bed quick because I need because my ground gets hard, and so I want to make sure that the roots can get down like they need to in certain pot. We kind of got clay soil here, and so I have to till it sometime. But yeah, I'm growing my okra in it. I usually grow my corn in the ground as well. This year I decided to do it in a raised bed. So yeah.
Okay. All right, in ground, in your native soil. You may have clay soil now. Know that growing, you're watching videos, every area or every property has a different type of soil. I do recommend you find somebody that knows how to grow in your soil. It is recommended by other people because I haven't done it. Okay, so I'm not telling you to do something I have not done, but others have recommended you get a soil test so you know what you can add to it if you have metals or something in there. There are some natural ways to remove certain things from your soil, so you want to know that while you're trying to grow organic food, because we don't know what was under these houses before they got up put up here. Okay. Okay.
That's a great point, Rashida. And that was something I said I was going to say is that with the raised beds, it actually makes it easier to control your soil type. So if you're growing something that needs acidic soil, it makes it easier if you have it in a controlled space.
Right. Correct. Yes. So those are things that in-ground growing, and in-ground sort of kind of gives you, as long as you got ground, you got a place to grow, because I've been eyeing a couple of spots around my house. That's girl, when I get this body under order, I don't know if it's gonna be in 2025 or 2025 fall or spring of 2026, but I got a plan. You understand?
It's coming. It's coming.
So in ground. So I guess I'll talk about containers. Containers are things that you could grow in. That sounds so stupid, don't it?
It can be anything.
It's not on the ground. It don't have to be on the ground. It don't only have to be outside, right? So you can grow something in if let's say if I want to take my shea butter jar, right, and grow a little something in it, a succulent, let's say a succulent don't need much, right? You draw some holes in it for drainage, clean it out, put your soil medium in here, put your plant in there, and you got a container, right? You buy pots, you have your flower pots, your grow bags are considered to be containers. So you can buy containers, you can make containers out of something you already have. We have our girl Lolita, she growing laundry baskets. Laundry baskets. And those are considered a container. You put that fabric in there, put your soil in there, and grow. So your containers give you a independence, if you will. to grow I forgot the word, but welcome, Jackie. Welcome.
Hey, Jackie.
Hey, ladies.
Your containers give you a little independence. You can, I like container growing for things that I'm not sure where I want to put them, right? Mm-hmm. So if you put them somewhere and it's too sunny, you can take it and move it to a place that ain't that sunny, right? My sister was like, well, where are we going to put the trees? If we get fruit trees, we need to test this, we need to dig that. I said, girl, listen. I just saw this man put all his fruit trees in a big old rolling pots. And I said, and I think that's what we need to do because we don't know what place is the best place for them. Right. Also, too, if we'll decide to move, who's digging up fruit trees?
I was moving. I'm taking them out.
Okay, I want y'all to know something about Rashida. Also, too, I know it's the same thing. I heard somebody say it and I thought it was funny. So I've been saying it, knowing it's incorrect. I know what's correct, y'all. But I just like to laugh better. All right. Okay. So so those are containers. So welcome, Jackie.
Wait, I meant something.
I know.
I said also too. I said
so the term also too is what you're referring to as being incorrect.
Yeah, also
because you said that so fast, it went over everybody's
head. I was like,
y'all missed that.
We were waiting for you to tell us what it was you were talking about.
See, okay, I talk fast. I'm gonna slow down. I said also too, and I want y'all to know that I know it's incorrect, but I think it's funny when people say also too. Okay.
Also and two. Got it. See, everybody was confused.
Okay. Right. And also with the containers, I grow
and y'all do it. Y'all do if y'all in the chat and I get talking too fast because I don't know I'm talking too fast because this is how I've been talking for 50 years. Okay, well 49. I had to learn to talk first, but. Put your hand up in the comment when I get to talking fast so I can slow down. I was like, put a break on it. Slow it down, girl.
What I was going to say is that I also grow in like icing containers. Is any kind of food grade containers. Yeah. So you can get those
ice cream containers.
Yeah, ice cream containers, things like that. But a lot of bakeries have the icing containers that they get in. And so you can get those from them or ask them at a grocery store if they have like a deli area, because even the pickle buckets, all that you can use.
Yep,
make sure you put
make nice and friendly with some of the fast food restaurants.
Yes.
I have some gardening friends at the Chinese restaurant near my house, and one day I just went in to say hello, and he was like, hold on. He runs to the back and he comes back and brings me a 5-gallon bucket. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you very much. So listen, y'all be friendly to the people out there. Hey, Shamir, y'all be friendly to the people outdoors. Okay, you never know. They might need you and you might need them. Okay,
you heard me.
Now,
Shamir had a question.
Who had a question?
Shamir.
What plants do well in what size? So that you have to look up. It depends on the root.
Well, she said that size, so I think she might be referring to Cece's comment about.
Oh, you talking about the icing buckets?
The icing buckets. They can come 5-gallon, 3-gallon. I have grown tomatoes, peppers, squash, pretty much anything that you can grow out there. Even if it's something that vines, it's going to come out there. You just need enough for room for its roots. So you can grow a lot of stuff in it. Hey, Netta.
Hey, Netta. Okay. Prowler Skyfit says local nurseries will give you free pots and trays that are super handy. So and
that y'all, that's my friend that's in Cali.
Yeah, girl.
He lives in California and has an amazing garden on the side of a mountain. So,
who is that? Prowler?
Okay. It's an awesome gardening. Is nice.
Awesome. So now we got 4 out of 5 here. So we have Jackie. Come on in, introduce yourself if you snacking. Let us know what you snacking on.
I am Jacqueline, 4 Seasons What did you say?
And I was saying she can pick up on that last gardening method.
Yeah, that's what. Yep, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw it right at her.
All right, give me some kind of crazy message on my computer. All right, I'll manage it a little bit later.
Hey, Joy, welcome. Uh-oh, she said she got a crazy message. Is she froze for everybody or just me?
Yeah, she froze.
Am I back?
CC,
you're back yet?
There you go.
There you go.
Yes.
There you go.
All right, let me make sure I'm on the right internet. That's probably my issue.
Better be on the right Wi-Fi. Makes sense.
I just walked in the house.
Yep,
I'm on the right internet. All right, so Four Seasons Gardens. All right, let me figure out what's going on. Am I dropped again?
We can hear you. Yeah.
You can hear me? All right,
yes.
Beautiful. All right, Zone 7A for the 50th time. And I garden in self-watering containers, sips. I raise beds, 5-gallon buckets. I'm all containers. I do not garden anything in the ground just because I just rather just know what kind of medium my plants are in, and I can give them all the love that they can get. So that is where I garden. And then where do you want me to take up there for Miss Rashida?
We are talking about SIPs, the growing methods. I want to talk about SIPs. What are SIPs?
So SIPs are self-irrigated planters. So I grow in.
What does self-irrigated mean?
Self-irrigated means that the bottom of your containers usually stores 1 gallon, 2 gallon, 3 gallons, 4 gallons worth of water. So your plant will drink the water as it needs it. I don't have to sit there and water every 2-3 days. I fill up my container usually in the springtime once a week, and the water will wick up based on how much that plant needs, because the plant knows what it needs. I don't need to guess how much it needs, and it will wick that water up. Once it gets hot here in Virginia, where I'm at, I'm probably filling up those containers once a day. So you can fill them yourself, or there is systems. Earthbox has a really great system that you hook it up to your water and it will self-water. You leave the water on, it feeds the water based on the water pressure of the bottom of that container. There's another company that I'm kind of playing around with. I did it 2 years ago and I didn't quite figure it out. So I'm going to try it again this year in order to use the 5-gallon buckets, and it gives it like a 1-gallon reservoir. You just stick this plastic tray in the bottom of it and it feeds it. There's just different ways of self-watering. So any way that I can self-water and I don't have to think about it, that's how I worked. I haven't been able to figure out drip irrigation. If you want to talk about drip irrigation, you can talk to Cece, you can talk to Lisa, but I'm not into the drip irrigation. I just do the self-watering planters, and that's how I water my planters. So I use City Pickers is my favorite. Earthbox is another great one that's out there. Farm Daddy is one of the newer companies that are out there that does SIPs as well. And then there's other companies that do some types of modulations that you can still make it into a SIPs. So that's kind of where I live, Miss Sheeta.
All right. So methods of growing. You know what I realized is not on here, because this list was created on Monday after the last chat. Have not been looked at till I emailed it to y'all.
Hydroponic.
What is missing is hydroponic.
Add some more stuff.
Yeah, hydroponic. If we don't finish it, we can come back to do the rest of the list another day. A hydroponic growing, that's growing by water.
Yes.
You know, there's no soil. So who wants to speak to hydroponic or aquaponic? Go ahead, Cynthia.
I will, since I love indoor hydroponic growing. It is amazing. And if you want to jumpstart on your plants, that is the best way to get it going. Hydroponics is pretty much your distilled water in a unit. It can be, I'm not going to go through all the cracky methods and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to say the one.
The what?
The cracky method.
Cracky. KRATKY.
Okay.
Yep.
See, that's why I said I ain't gonna go into all that.
Let's keep it simple at hydroponics.
Yes.
Mhm.
We can get deep into that. No. So anyway, what you do is have a unit that is plugged up. It has oxygen that flows into your water, so it aerates your water. And then you have some nutrients that come with your unit, or you can order the nutrients, put them in there, and it pretty much feeds the plants. The roots grow really thick, so I like to use it to do transfers that I'm going to take outside, so they can have real thick roots to it. And if you have seeds that are really hard to germinate, hydroponics has been my way to get those seeds to germinate, because something about using the water that helps the seeds to break down. And so I like using the unit. Now, some people keep their stuff in their hydroponics and don't transfer them out. So you do have to trim the roots back, because they do get big. They can get up into your filters and stuff like that. So you want to make sure you trim your roots back. Make sure you harvest as much as you can. So, but that's hydroponics, and I love doing it.
Jacqueline, are you going to add something before I ask a question?
No, go ahead and ask. I think CC covered it.
Okay. So my question is, because I have some hydroponics that I still haven't set up yet. So, and CC, you probably touched on it when you said you cut the roots back, like as they get bigger or the roots get longer, you cut them back.
Yes.
So is there a benefit or pro con to using certain size hydroponics for certain crops? So like I've seen people do like the 5-gallon buckets where they cut holes in the top and they got a whole system, or you just have the little small table size ones.
Well, see, that would be more aquaponics. So that would be different from hydroponics.
Oh.
So what's the difference between?
Okay, because I thought they was one and the
we
same.
in here now, in the words of Pastor Hannah. We in here now. What's the difference between hydro and aqua?
Well, hydroponics is usually they're a smaller unit where you'll grow more things that like lettuces and maybe some peppers and things like that. Aquaponics, they can come in like different sizes. They can be bigger, so you can grow bigger plants in there, and people leave them in there longer. Some people, that's how they grow, just only in aquaponics. So they're bigger cups. You can put the little clay balls in the cup, and it's a lot more to it, instead of just our little hydroponics where you put the little sponge in there in the basket, put the seed and grow. But aquaponics, and then it goes to the cracking method, which is not using any oxygen. You don't have no water flowing, and it's more of a stagnant way of growing.
Okay.
So you got your hydroponics where you're at the tabletop, where it comes with the automatic lights, right? So your lights already built into the system. It's easy. You can just roll with it. And like CC said, you can do your lettuces, you can do your tomatoes, you can do your peppers, you can do cabbage, you can do strawberries in it. I mean, there's cucumbers in it. You're just going to make sure that when you're doing the hydroponics, you're using the dwarf seeds. So dwarf plants. So plants that only will grow up to 12 to 18 inches when you're talking about your tabletop hydroponics.
Unless you're going to transfer them. That's why
transplant. But if you're going to do
transplants,
then definitely, yes, you can do whatever you want to grow that you're going to transplant outside. You can start in hydroponics for sure. Like I said, I start everything except for my slips, because those have to be done differently, and my onions. But everything else, my flowers, my tomatoes, my peppers, my squash, my watermelon, you name it. I have my flowers, everything gets started in hydroponics. I do go up one level, and I do buy starter trays for all my AeroGardens, so that I don't have like all my Bounty or my Ultra where you only have 6 or 7 holes on there. If you go to the starter trays, then you have 50 starting spots. But the reason you can start 50 at a time is because you're only going to leave them in there for 3-4 weeks max, right? Because with Hydroponics, you're giving them food on a weekly basis. They're growing so much faster. Their root system grows faster. Their stems are faster. So you can start your plants in hydroponics, and within 4 weeks, you're ready to transplant out. Like it's a really quick turnaround. So when everyone else is saying, oh, I'm starting my tomatoes and my peppers in the beginning of, well, for me, if I'm planning out for Mother's Day, they're starting end of March. I'm not starting to the middle of April because my plants are going to grow so much faster than everyone else's in hydroponics. So I can start much later than everyone else because of my hydroponics and the way that my hydroponics grows.
So what I'm hearing, because we want to keep this beginner sort of kind of beginner.
Because we didn't get real deep.
There's 3 ways. I mean, well, we did ask the question because there are 3 different. So I'm thinking there's 3 different ways to grow in water. To grow with water.
Yes.
And you can grow inside. And basically which method you use depends on what you want to do. You want to grow it fully inside? Do you want to use it to just start and plant outside? And it also explained to me when I saw Gina start seeds in that aluminum pan with them clay things because she had the incorrect basket size for her unit. But she said if she wasn't sending them back, she just used the full pan. And I said, wait a minute, this can't be that simple. This can't be that simple because it blew my whole mind. But okay, so we're just gonna leave it there. We ain't gonna delve too deep. So we're gonna leave it right there. Yeah. All right. So methods of growing: SIPs, the sub-irrigated planters. Those are things that are self-watering, for lack of a better term. You have raised beds. Shelly talked about those sitting on top of your soil of whatever your bed is made out of. Anything that can be maybe 4 to 5 inches above soil to 2 feet. I have my highest one is 17 inches. You can get 36 inches. It depends on what you want in your space. Cynthia talked about in-ground garden. So that's your native soil stuff you're going to till, whether you till or no till, however you decide to do it, but you're using your native soil. Even when you add other amendments, it's still your soil. So it's still in ground. Containers, I talked about containers, anything that's not in the ground, basically, it's mobile. You can use any sources. You can make a container, buy a container. If you can put soil and it fits the root of that plant, if you can get drainage, you can grow in it. So, methods of growing. Okay. Take a deep breath, y'all. That's more for me than it is for y'all. Now, let's go to the favorites. I want to hit the favorites. I don't know. Do y'all want to go to NPK next? Or do y'all want to go to seeds, slips, and seeds?
I think we should go through NPK first.
Let's go through NPK.
Get through the boring stuff first.
Who wants to talk?
That's not really the boring stuff. See,
boring.
I didn't pick that because I feel like I don't know enough about it.
Okay.
I don't know what it stands for, but I'm gonna let the rest of y'all explain it.
Well, let's talk about it. Who wants to talk about nitrogen? What do we know about nitrogen? I'll talk about nitrogen. Okay. Nitrogen. Okay, nitrogen. That's the first letter. NPK. Nitrogen is in your fertilizer. It is what helps your plants grow leaves. It keeps it green. If you're growing collard greens, mustard greens, turnip greens, if you're growing cabbages, you need that nitrogen. Now, nitrogen is good for everything, but you don't need a lot of nitrogen for everything, okay? There's nitrogen in your rain. I learned that from Lisa, y'all. You ever wonder why?
I am so blown by it. I was like, wait, it's nitrogen in rain?
Well, I heard somebody say, I don't know who it was. I don't want to give somebody else credit that didn't say it. That the reason, even with what you call it, pollution, rain pollution, that the clouds produce electrolytes in the rain. Y'all know how we like to drink coconut water and whatever your electrolyte water is. It produces that when it rains, and so when it hits that soil and go down to that root, that plant is like, oh, this is the good stuff.
That
And
is
you
so
may
amazing.
you may have watered that thing and loved it, and you went there and sang to it and talked to it, called it baby. You like Red Leaf Garden, you done named this mug Audrey and all this stuff, and it's just doing what it want to do. But that rain come, they be like, what you doing? Ain't nothing.
Thank you.
Right. I found that fantastic and amazing. So I have a question then. So when if you collect rainwater in rain barrels, does that water, if it's sitting too long, lose nitrogen?
Now that's a good question, because if you think about it, if you leave chlorinated water uncovered and sitting out, it will take some certain things. They say take certain things out of it during the evaporation process. If it does the same thing for rainwater, I don't know.
Usually when I use my rainwater, I put 511 in it, which is the
511 is a nitrogen based fertilizer.
Yeah, so I always wind up but I had never thought about it losing it.
So so let's talk about that. So nitrogen, NPK, is on your fertilizers. It'll have 3 numbers. The first one, the 511 that we talk about, is usually that Alaska fish emulsion, and it's 5 for nitrogen, 1 for potassium, 1 for calcium. I know, is it calcium?
Phosphorus,
girl. I was like, why do I have calcium from? I ain't talking about them. I'm talking about nitrogen, but that's what 511 means. So you got this nitrogen that helps your stuff go nice and green, right? There's other thing that gives nitrogen, but once you buy that big old jug of 511, because I was so mad that one day I went to go try it because I hadn't used it before, and all they had was the big jug. They didn't have the small one. I'm like, well, I'm in like Flynn now. Well, they got nothing to do with
that has went up too.
Well, I had already paid like $24 for that then, so I ain't gonna tell them what it's like now. 40.
That's cheap.
So it's okay. We ain't gonna complain. We're gonna thank God. Listen, so that's nitrogen.
Okay, Real Kitchen said rainwater does lose oxygen.
Nitrogen and oxygen. Okay.
Oxygen or nitrogen?
Oxygen.
You lose nitrogen as the water sits.
Okay.
Because it's unstable. That's probably the number. That number probably changes the most when you're doing any kind of soil testing.
And I wonder if it changes when it's uncovered as well.
Definitely.
And as long as it sits. So those are good questions. All right. We're going to move on to P, potassium. Who want to talk about that? Did I say the wrong thing? Somebody talk about this P.
CC or Jacqueline, y'all got that?
Cynthia,
we talking about phosphorus or potassium?
Yeah, that too, girl. Listen, I done named everything. I'm gonna stop talking.
All right, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, NPK.
NPK.
All right, you got it now.
So which one you want me to talk about?
I don't care.
The pink. The phosphorus. Okay. So the phosphorus would be what I use with bone meal. So like blood meal you use for nitrogen. The potassium, well, not the potassium, the phosphorus. Oh, potassium on my mind now. So what you would use that for? You would need that for anything that roots. It's a root vegetable like your carrots, turnips, anything underground, beets, all that. But also anything that blooms, like tomatoes, peppers, anything that has flowers on it, then you need that as well because that's what it helps. The phosphorus helps with those things. So, yeah. Something else y'all want to know about it?
Somebody talk about K.
So I was gonna say potassium is for the overall health of the whole plant. So it needs potassium in order to break down all these things that we're adding. We need to break down phosphorus. We need to break down the bone meal, the blood meal, all those other things. So we need the potassium that helps break it all down. But how do we know what we need of all these things to make sure that our plants grow? So that's, I think we need, it'll be the service not to talk about testing your soil, right? You need to know how much nitrogen, how much phosphorus, how much potassium you have in your garden in order to feed it correctly. So I'm going to come in from the master gardener's standpoint of view of making sure that you are testing it. And if you have an extension office, which everyone has one, they actually have boxes in their offices. You go in and you give them, I think the box is like a 2x2 box. They show you how to gather the soil, bring it into them. And I think it's $10 for them to send that soil back and send it back to you. So you know how much nitrogen, how much potassium, how much phosphorus you have, and all the other soils, all the other things that you need in your soil for your plants to grow. So if you go and just throw a whole bunch of bone meal, but you already had enough bone meal, we don't want you to add more bone meal because we've been feeding our soil correctly for our plants to grow. So it's very, very important that we feed it, but we also need to test it. So testing is important.
Comment. So the professor.
Girl, I'm sitting there cracking up. He said,
hold on though. Now back to the pea. So yeah, let's talk about the pea because pea is a real thing in the garden and it actually does provide NPK. You must dilute it. You must dilute the pea if you're going to use that as a fertilizer. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all I'm going to say. I ain't going to ask you how you know it. I don't even care. Look it up for yourselves. So those are the macronutrients that we usually talk about, usually in garden. All the minerals and different things. That's Jacqueline's category because she is the master gardener of the group. So we ain't gonna tackle that.
Yeah, we're gonna keep it simple.
Her services available for y'all. We'll let y'all know. So let's go. So now we got starts and transplants. Shelly wants to talk about the difference, right, between starts and transplants. Right?
Oh, I guess
what a start is versus a transplant.
She was just signing up for everything.
She put a name by it.
You know what? I didn't even look it up. I'm like, okay. That's a good question. A start versus a transplant.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
I was thinking a start would be like the stuff you started at home, like your.
So I don't think it is. I think
it's
universal.
Or you buy from the store, and then the transplants is what you put out. But either one, they're separate.
Anything you buy at the store will still be you still have to transplant into your garden.
Right.
So
right. So it is one and the same. A start and a transplant technically is the same thing.
Whether you start it or you buy it, I think that's probably where Miss Rashida.
Yeah, that's
right.
It's still a start.
Knowing the work that goes into a start.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of work that goes into it.
Right.
Can it be easy? Definitely. But is there a science to it? Yes.
Which part? The transplants?
Like knowing when to start it, right? How many people have we seen in our Facebook groups that started their tomatoes and their peppers back in January? I
started in February, and it is a lesson learned. I will never start in February again. And not because it was all bad for me. It was because my plants got so big that it was a challenge for me to keep up with them. I had to keep up potting them. If you follow my channel, you know I broke a couple plants, trying to move them outside to harden them off and everything. And I was like, I'll never start tomatoes that early again, ever.
Yeah. So, and starts and transplants are your mature, we would call them seedlings. I would say in my mind would be when the seed doesn't have enough leaves, true leaves on it. Once you get your true leaves and it's mature enough to go outside, those are your starts and transplants. That's what I would say. If you want to differentiate when your stuff go outside, because I didn't know that. And I put stuff outside with true leaves on them that first year. Let me tell y'all something. I was like, why is stuff not wrong? It's taking too long. What are you going to do wrong?
And
so if you start them inside, you have to get them past the true leaves. Definitely, you need to have them in the house for at least, depending on the plant, because some are slower, right? Like tomatoes and peppers, they're after they get past your true leaves, it might take 2 weeks, maybe 10 days before you're past the true. Then you get your true leaves. You don't have the cotyledons anymore. And then some plants, like my petunias, it took almost 3 weeks before I even saw some true leaves. Like some plants are different, right?
So let me stop here because this is the beginner. I use that term, realizing that some people don't know what true leaves are.
Yes.
So what's the first leaf that pop up, and then what's the true leaves? Go ahead.
Cotyledons. Did I say that right, Miss Cece? Cotyledons. Yeah. So those are they call them the seed leaves. So the first leaves that pop out of your plants, those are not your true leaves. Those are just your starting leaves, your seed leaves. Then what is your true leaves are the leaves that actually looks like the plant. So everybody knows what a tomato leaf looks like. Everybody knows what a pepper leaf looks like. So what's the plant's final stage of leaf looks like is what's called your true leaves. Mm-hmm. So that's when you can finally start. And I won't even say you can even take it outside because you started inside. It's gotten love. It's gotten nice air. Probably no fan or anything. You still have to take that plant outside and harden it off. You can't just take that plant straight outside and plant it out. It will, like Miss Rashida said, it will struggle because you have got to baby and take it outside and go through that hardening process, or that plant will struggle.
Right. And I also had the issue, Jacqueline, with my kohlrabi that we planted when you came over. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, they don't seem to be doing well. I kept checking on them. Leaves were sort of dying off. And I still think, even though I had hardened them off, they had been outside in the trays for a few days before we even planted them into the sips. But now, couple weeks since, I'm starting to see growth on them. So I think they still, even though I had hardened them off, once I planted them in, they still sort of went through this sort of a shock period. And so you might have that happen to your plants, but just keep taking care of them.
Tiptoe through the turnips. That's what I'm saying. I feel like I had good harvest. But listen to the efforts, I really don't know what I'm doing. When I had that I don't understand that slow down. That apartment garden set me up for good. I thought I was doing something. Y'all understand? I thought, I'll put this stuff in the ground. I watered it. I put out a few marigolds and and my stuff is pollinated. It's beautiful. Mm-hmm. I get over here and I'm like, girl, you was stupid.
You wasn't stupid. You just didn't know.
I didn't know what I didn't know, as my friend said. You didn't know what you didn't know. Mm-hmm.
So what I do want to say, though, before we move on from the starts and the transplants, it seems, and y'all can correct me if I'm wrong, that there can be some judgment in the gardening community in regards to, boy, look at them eyes. Using transplants versus starting your own seeds. But I just want y'all to know, everybody who's in the chat, do what works for you.
Do what works for you. Exactly. Absolutely.
There's no judgment. And if you don't want to start seeds, like this was the first year that I had successfully started seeds, and every other year I have always bought starts, and I've always had a good harvest. And I don't feel any kind of way about it. And I'm not going to let nobody shame me because I went to the store and bought a transplant.
Girl, I want everyone to grow.
We always have something. If you buy for $20, who cares? If you're $20.
Right. Exactly. You grow something. I don't care if you start it yourself or go to the store and buy it.
Cynthia's they $20. Don't be managing on people money.
Okay. Right? That's true. And look, I like to start things from seed to see if I can grow it. But if it's something that I want and I can't get it to grow, I'm going to go find a nursery to have it. I'm going to go to a big box store to have it. If I want that particular plant, I'm going to go hunt it down if I can't grow it.
Right. Yeah. So listen, true tip. I don't think I ever paid attention to the pricing, but we are constantly talking about how much plants are going up in price. And I was at Miller Farms buying Hey Vita, buying plants, starters, transplants, and I did not buy the marigolds at the time. And the trays were, I think you can get a whole tray for $25. I don't remember how many plants were in that tray. So I happened along to Costco and they had the front entrance full of plants and they had these trays of marigolds that were absolutely beautiful. Excuse me, stems were strong. There was literally one in every cell that was blooming and they had buds. It was $14.99. I was like, I shall be buying these. I bought 3 trays because I don't have time to wait for marigold seeds to grow. I needed them in my garden yesterday. So check the prices at Costco on things.
I just bought some yesterday. It was 5 for $5 at Lowe's. And I got 5 of them.
5 for $5 at Lowe's.
There you go.
Yep.
I started 50 yesterday because I didn't want to go to Lowe's and buy them. I put 50 in a
and I have marigolds growing. I mean, they coming up. I need some color out there.
You need. She wants color now. Yeah,
my garden is looking drab. The bees just
you're like different zones, right? You're in a different zone than I am. I haven't even put anything outside yet, so I've still got time to start them in my wonderful hydroponics. 3 weeks from now. They will be doing phenomenal. And 2 weeks from now later, because it only takes 5 weeks for you to get marigold buds. So
is that all?
Yeah, it's not very long.
I ain't had 5 weeks. I needed them now.
So just don't be shamed and buy. Actually, my dad we gardened a lot when I was younger, and he always bought transplants. And he always went to this one nursery that's here in the city. And so when I started gardening, that's what I did. I went down to Ken's. I got me a tray. A tray is $20. So I could mix and match in that tray. And I could, for $20 or $30, I could fill up 3 garden beds.
Come on now.
And it was, so that's what I did. But this seed growing thing, it sort of got me in the, I like to, when it started getting big, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I grew that from seed. Like a little seed. Now these seeds this year, can I tell y'all? They're so neglected. I don't even know if they're gonna make it. I don't even know I'm gonna make it. I got so much other stuff on my mind. And Jackie here in the back of my head, Rashida, you could just buy transplants. So if they don't make it, I'll be over at Ken's buying some transplants. Go ahead, Cynthia.
So I have a question. And this is just, okay. So I'm trying to see how to say it and don't say. Okay. So I have watched some bigger channels that, they buy transplants all the time, right? And then they put them in their garden, and of course they get all big and beautiful and all this kind of stuff. But somewhere in the back of my head, I think, but you ain't grow that. You didn't. I'm just saying.
It's your thought.
So I'm like, are you a true gardener? Are you one of the ones that, let me get my transplant, put my little fertilizer. Wow, I have big plants. And I'm like, and you have all these people following you, but you ain't grew nothing from a seed. You ain't went through the struggle of stuff dying and trying to nurse it back to health. I mean, but some people
just want
to grow a broken plant.
Yeah, but I will say this: when you buy a transplant, it's something said that be keeping it alive. Because just because you bought it don't mean it's gonna stay there. I killed some transplants.
That's true. Yeah. It just be in the back of my head. I don't say that.
Girl, listen. I don't know what be rolling through my head when I be seeing these guys. Because see, sometimes people be like, I'm going to the garden, and they show some stuff, but they don't say certain things. And so it made me suspicious. Because sometimes they present as if they spending all this time in the garden on this homestead, they doing all the things. And half the things they was doing when they first started, they ain't doing no more, but they ain't telling you they ain't doing them no more.
Or when you see people plant stuff and you never see the harvest.
Yes, that's
Like-
aggravating. Aggravates. No,
I
yeah.
know this stuff
You
should
got-
be ready by now. Why
Mhm.
you ain't showed the
It
harvest?
died.
Or-
Just tell us it died.
It
Just tell
died.
us you
Tell
killed
us
it.
it died.
Tell
You
you
got to
did
show the
something
good and the
wrong.
bad, good and the ugly, the good, the
Right.
bad, and the
Show the
ugly.
good
Show
and
me it all.
ugly.
Show me all of it.
Yes.
Even the flooding. That was horrible, Miss Cece.
I know.
Yeah, so yeah, but that's girls, it's a lot of stuff to go through my head. But listen, so seed starts. I'm talking about starts and transplants. Let's talk about seeds. Seeds, types of seeds. So you got your, and when I say type of seed, I don't know, I'm going to type of seed. You got your seeds.
Well, you get a lot more variety when you start your own, right? If you're going to Lowe's, Home Depot, even your local nurseries, you're going to be pigeonholed into just the normal stuff, right? Like your big bush, your I can't even think, just your regular green peppers or your jalapenos, right? But if you start from seed, your world goes from 30 plants that you could choose from to 3,000, right? I mean, I know I've got 3 boxes of these, 5 boxes of these full of seeds. Like, I think I was starting 36 different pepper plants, like different types of pepper plants. Like, your world grows when you're starting your own seeds, right? You have so much more fun, so much more variety. So that's the reason why I love starting my own seeds. Just the variety that you can get. I mean, you can go to the store and buy some Paul Robesons. I'm sorry, you're not going to get that. You're not going to. You might get Cherokee purple, but you're not going to get the variety that you can get starting out your own.
That is so true.
Come out as dangerous, definitely. I'm telling you,
because I've never had kohlrabi, and I fell in love with just the way was it
Asia
kohlrabi, and I was like, I want to try kohlrabi, and I saw some seeds, and I bought them, and I grew them babies, and they are doing well.
All right, and it tastes amazing. Wait until you.
Well, I cannot wait to try them, and I started a second succession of them as well.
I'm proud of you, girl. And that's the thing.
Thank you,
even in the store, if you're buying seeds from the store variety is still different from what they sell as a start. Because the Burpe's cucumber, the straight 8 they had in the seed section at Home Depot, but they didn't have straight 8s at starts last year when I went to go. I was just perusing.
Is there anything besides Bonnie out there now?
Bonnie got everybody in the chokehold. I don't know.
I mean, what other at the big box stores? Is there any other?
Burpees where I'm at.
Bonnie's and Burpees.
Bonnie's and Burpees.
Okay. It's more Bonnie's
stuff, but I can't think of it.
Okay. It's just Bonnie's and Burpees. Okay.
Like, I've got 3 boxes of peppers. I got banana peppers, sweet peppers, and hot peppers. Like, that's how much. And then this in my hand right now.
Gurney. That's it. Thank you, Tien.
That's just my hot peppers. Like, you have so much more variety when you can start your own seeds.
And so that's the thing about seeds. And so people talk about non-GMO seeds. Any seed you buy, it's gonna be non-GMO because we ain't about to pay GMO prices. Okay, and GMO rates. They ain't selling to the regular GMO. Go ahead.
Jacqueline just had up all them seeds, and it just reminded me that all my seeds are in the car. I told them in the car down here while I'm on vacation so I can organize them.
Good.
Your seeds.
I got my little boxes just like Jacqueline.
Yep.
But most of my seeds are still in boxes or bags. When I bought them, they are not organized. And so I said, while I am on vacation, I'm hauling all these seeds down here with me, and I'm going to put them in some sort of order.
Go ahead.
It makes sense.
She loved them seeds. So those are seeds.
Listen. Seeds. Before we left, my husband put up a new camera in the house, and guess where it faced?
in the mailbox, the front door.
over the garden.
Oh,
So during the day, I can get on the phone.
aw, that's
I
sweet.
love it.
Look at my plant babies.
And look, and I can zoom in. I be like, oh, what's going on down there?
Be like, oh, it's a hornworm over there.
Because I'm a little nervous about what my garden gonna look like when I come back, since I literally planted it out before leaving.
That's awesome.
Are you guys supposed to get some rain while you're gone?
We did.
We did.
I watered well, and we
Yes.
got rain well.
Yes.
Hallelujah.
So, rain.
They should be
Finally.
good.
Thank God. We need
And I
it.
still have plants that I have not planted out because I'm like,
Yeah,
it's a little bit much. I had one of my friends come and pick up. I'm like, girl, come get some of these plants.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so go on.
So seeds. So how to get our seeds to germinate? We talked about germination in water. So let's talk about starting your seeds inside. You need a seed starting mix. Anybody wants to start talking about this seed starting mix?
You want to, Shelly?
I'll do a little bit. You can do a little bit.
Okay,
because
okay, go ahead.
I have literally, hear me, I have fallen in love with making my own seed starting mix. Like, who knew, right? So my seed starting mix is made up of cocoa core, perlite, and vermiculite.
Mm-hmm.
And if I'm feeling a little spicy, I might put a little worm castings in it. And I just mix it up. And it's just so beautiful to see it come together and combine, and you see the texture difference. I love it. And so in years past, I did not do that. And I am 1000% 10 toes down convinced that it made the big difference in my seed growth this year, because every other year I've started seeds, they grow, I get the mold, and I'm sure we're going to talk about that, so I won't go into depth on that right now, and then they would just die off. But this year, everything excuse me, everything was really kind of coming up well. Hey, GT Junior.
And she keeps a bucket in her house. I walked her house like, what is that? She's like, that's my seed starting mix in case I just get a burden and just start something real quick.
Facts. That is fact. So, but the key with the seed starting mix is that it's lighter, and it makes it easy for the seeds to sprout and really push through and get those roots started versus a heavy potting mix. And I think that's what I was using previously, and that's why my seeds never got off to a good start, because they were having to work too hard, and they were just little babies. Babies need milk, not meat. So give them some milk.
And what I was going to say with that is definitely not to use soil indoors if you do not have to. I mean, I understand some people have, they can't, maybe it's costly to go get the stuff to make their own mix. But if you don't want to have gnats in your house like forever, don't go the soil route. Cocoa core, they don't, anything that's not really soil, they're not going to want to be in. They're not going to come in there, And I'm convinced sometimes that soil will be having like gnat eggs or something in it that as soon as you bring that stuff in the house, gnats get everywhere. So if you want to, because I did that one year, I had 100 plant starts in the house that I started, and I had gnat issue where I had sticky tapes and this, that, trying to get all them things out, and trays of what is that? Apple cider vinegar in the little cup. I was doing all kind of stuff trying to. Yeah, cocoa core is the way to go to not have the gnat issue, mixing it with
and even with that, I still did the boiling water to the cocoa core when I was loosening it up to help sterilize it.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
All right, y'all. I had to go do my walking stretch before I tighten up, and it'd be a whole problem.
Yes, tiptoe. I did. I used the boiling water. And so usually what I would do a brick or two, the boiling water to loosen it up. And then I would usually wait until like the next day, unless I did it early in the day. And then later in the evening, I would actually start mixing everything together because I let that cocoa core cool down.
All right. So we talked about seed starting mix.
And you can buy it, seed starting mix.
Yeah, you
but
can buy
it is
but
much cheaper if you can just buy your components and mix it up yourself.
It seemed like it's gonna be more. But if you go buy that little bag, like the little Jiffy bag, like I did that first year, you ain't gonna do much with that little Jiffy bag at all.
Not much at all, because you use so much.
And if you steady expanding your garden, I saw was that in the garden chat? Y'all put that in there, the screenshot.
Which one?
About the garden. Hold on. Yep. So if you've been gardening more than 1 year, you may not have an intention on having 800 beds. Okay. But you start off with 1, and then it turns into 3. Then you remember you definitely need a pollinated garden, a medicinal herb corner, and something else. And then you got 72 tomatoes you trying.
That's where I'm at.
Hey GT. I don't know who else hopped on here while I was going for my walk.
A lot of people have been hot. Who has ProMix on sale?
Thank you for joining us tonight.
Who has ProMix? I have never bought ProMix. I haven't even seen it around here.
ProMix is
they have it at
Walmart, or go to your local co-op. That's where you can get it the best price. Like you can get that big
local co-op.
I don't have no local co-op.
Oh, I know I'm blessed. But I'm in the country, so we have a local co-op. We can buy that big 4 cubic bag for like $40. It goes a long ways. So,
okay.
Check out if you have a local co-op.
There's one with the farmers market, but it doesn't say they sell. But they do have a edible learning garden.
Mm-hmm. So edible what garden?
Learning garden.
Yep. Edible learning garden.
I might be saying I might have the order wrong, but
and what exactly is that?
So it's a community garden.
Community garden, yep.
And they just had the where you take the stump of the root stock of a tree and put on the fruit tree. Grafting is a class, and they do different courses. You can go out there and volunteer, yada yada. So, and then their food goes to the food bank or something.
Yep.
So we have that, but I don't know if they sell anything. So we talked about soil, seed starter mix. Let's talk about slips.
My slips did nothing this year, but this was my first year, so I am going to give myself grace to try again next year to get my slips for my sweet potatoes. So
I'll
get better next year.
I'm not wearing I ain't wearing no slip with my dress.
We're not talking about clothes.
You just said slips, so I just
I wasn't even going there. I'm
not
all it takes is one good picture with your stuff showing through your dress, and it changed your mind. But
so listen,
there's a picture in the garden group.
Huh?
There's a picture in the garden group where the lady says she bought some potatoes and forgot she had them, and so the sweet potato had slips growing out of them. So those are like the plant growing out of the sweet potato. When we say slip for the newbies, and some were very long. Those are the slips. You're going to take that because that's your new sweet potato plant. And that is what you want to grow or plant in soil to create your new sweet potatoes, because your sweet potato is created by the mature root of that plant.
Or
That's how I
you
put
can
together.
put that slip in water and root it before you plant it.
Yep, you can do
Which
that.
is where I completely fell off my A game, because by the time my other seedlings started coming up, I was so consumed with taking care of them. All them slips that I had from my sweet potatoes, some of them rotted out, died. But before I left, I mean, I still had a few left, and I still have some in the house that I'll plant when I get back. But I don't know how much of a harvest I'm gonna get from them this year.
Well, depending on how long they are, right? You might be able to split some of them and root the other parts of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do.
Yep. That's if you want more. You might not want to go through all that. So, but yeah, I understand. So those are slips. When we talking about slips, we're talking about sweet potato plants that are growing out of the sweet potato.
Yes.
You can, if you don't have them already growing out, you can put them in water, and it'll start growing roots at the bottom and slips out the top. I to put mine in some moist soil and laid it down, mostly embedded but not covered, and then eventually they started coming out the top.
I do the water.
But what happened was nothing was happening last year, Jacqueline. Nothing was happening. I was so mad, and I just sat it in the window and closed the curtain and ordered some slips online. And when I went to go plant my slips, I just happened to say, "What about these slips in this window?" And went in them things that grew. I was all in the chat like, "Yeah, my slips decided to grow." after I decided to ignore the mugs.
Okay. That's when they do their best. But you know what? You just reminded me that there is a gardener on YouTube. I don't even know it's a guy, his name off the top of my head. I happened to be watching his video, and he was offering slips up for free.
What?
So I was like, oh, I want some.
Now
he did come back. He emailed me and said that he had an overwhelming response, and that when they were ready, he was still giving them away, but he was asking people to pay for shipping. So I am yet waiting for my email that the slips are ready for him to ship. So hopefully I will get some. Okay. I forgot all about that till you just talked about forgetting them in the window.
Yep. And so, sometimes we have fails, and that's what I think is missing in some of the garden content, is that we have a fail. My fail is I'm so in my head because things are not like I want them to be. Things aren't germinating like I think they should. And then I beat myself up because I spent money to make sure I had what I needed. But that was before my body did what it did. You know what I'm saying? So I'm trying not to beat myself up. And then I got 900 other things going on that are just more important than that. So it's like all these things. And then I just heard Jackie in my head, like, Rashid, it's okay if you end up buying starts. And then my sister was like, "You're not going to call your nephew, are you? You're not going to call your nephew." So she calls him, and he's like, "Oh, just tell Auntie, let me know when. And if she tell me what to do, I'll do it to put my plants in the yard." So
yes.
And that boy works hard too. So I know if I have my stuff lined up for him to do it, he going to work quick.
Even if you have to buy starts or transplants.
Even if I have to buy starts.
So look what Tiptoe said.
What Tiptoe say?
Wait, what am I missing?
We just talking about slips. Tiptoe said, "Make sure I use my own slips, Rashida, because Cece will call you out if you grow other." You know what? I still haven't even started my sweet potato slips, and honestly,
you still have time.
To the conclusion, I do have time because last year I didn't start mine till like the first week of June.
Yes, you're in a different zone.
And the temperature got down in the 40s when I put them in June in Michigan. So I feel like I got time, right?
You got time.
But if I
don't,
let's
talk about that a little bit, because, and I think you have mentioned it before, the fact that you are in a very different zone than the rest of us, how it is challenging because you hear and see us doing things and you think you should be doing the same thing when in reality
I'm not.
You shouldn't be.
Girl, no. And it was one, when I tell you it was almost 80 Friday Friday, I came back from physical therapy. My sister took me to my mom's. Went over there, sat on the porch for an hour. It was 80. The sun was shining. It was breezy. And I'm looking at the garden. I said, this will be a good day.
Fake
to get
spring.
that stuff out of that garden. But you know what? I set my butt on that porch.
Yeah. Fake
And
spring.
now, and look, and then yesterday, it was cold.
Yep.
Like 52. The high was 52. Windy, cloudy.
Yeah.
Partially rain.
Fake.
I said, you got to be.
And that's how it is back at home.
Yeah.
My daughter ended up sent me a video, and I'm like, wait, y'all got on coats and jackets.
Mhm.
Like, I was just there Thursday and Friday, and it was hot.
Yeah.
And now they got on coats. So,
Yeah,
y'all
so
pray for
that's-
my garden.
Yeah, so with that, I'm trying not to. This is what I'm trying to get my mind. It'd be great because if you think all last year I did all my potatoes in bags. I did my melons in bags.
Mm-hmm.
When I got the new beds for the fall, I took all that spent soil and put it in my new raised beds.
Mm-hmm.
Those new raised beds, well, one of them still ain't full. Those new raised beds are for my collards, mustards, and turnips.
Mm-hmm.
Them is not for no potatoes.
Mm-mm. Your
So
potatoes
for
in
me to grow
bags.
potatoes back in the
Right.
bags.
Yeah, put them potatoes back in the bags. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so I got to get more soil. So it's just like, oh, now I got to buy soil, but I got to do this on long-term disability money. That's a whole different thing than me working everyday money. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, but I'm trying to say if I've decided whatever I do will be great.
But
if I
whatever
can't
you do,
it
okay.
all, that'd
You
be
can't
great.
do it
too.
all, but
It'd be great
Facebook,
too, right?
Facebook is great for free compost, right? Put that in the bottom 6 inches. You say you have 17 inches beds. So fill up like the 10 inches down at the bottom with all that free compost, free manure. Find it on Facebook. Have that good nephew of yours go pick it up in those bins, dump it in there, and then just buy soil for the 7-8 inches at the top where your plants are going to grow anyway. Like, try to fill up the bottom of your beds with free stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I got you.
Facebook.
I got you. Well, the beds are full, so
Y'all
it's
can
okay.
be free
Okay,
to
bags
be
wanna fill up.
on Facebook Marketplace.
Girl, I've been looking on our marketplace. My marketplace is trash.
Mm-hmm.
Jacqueline, she just know how to do it. She
Jacqueline just be
done.
finding all the good stuff. I be sitting there, they be like, "We got old baby clothes," and I'm
2x4 Costco
1970
raised
clothes.
bed. I got it for free. A 2x4 foot Costco raised bed. Somebody was getting rid of it for free last week. I made my way right on over there. Someone's getting rid of 4-foot light bulbs. Those ones that go in those shop lights that you can use to do your starters inside. Yes, ma'am. I went and got a box of 10 of those for free. I'm the Facebook Marketplace free queen.
So, Jacqueline, you told us about it. I think it's an app. I got a call. Hold on. And I refuse to download that app because I see it as a problem. I see it as a problem because I'm going to be seeing stuff that I want. Knowing goodness well, I don't have room for it. Did y'all hear my husband? He just said, mm-hmm.
That's the hired help. Hired help.
Sorry. Yes, the hired help. Jacqueline says hello, babe.
Hello.
But no, like I said, I can find room for a 2x4 raised bed somewhere in my house. I picked up a free wheelbarrow. That wheelbarrow is going to become where my flowers are going to go. It looked beautiful with the petunias hanging off the edge. And I can put that and it looks nice because we're, like Miss Shelley says, we want our gardens to look also aesthetically pleasing. So I figured I'd pick up that old wheelbarrow. The tires are out on it. I don't care. I'm going to drill some holes in the bottom of it and I'm going to make it a real cute little flower bed for all my plants. So there's a lot of things that yes, that freebie alert can get a little busy and I will turn off the notifications sometimes. And then sometimes I do keep it on because this time of the year, people are getting rid of free garden stuff all the time.
That is so funny. So I just went to go look to see. Let me tell you what I missed. Garden fencing.
Yep.
It's
Free.
plain. I don't need no fence. Greenhouse. It's balled up in the corner. I don't want that.
Greenhouse?
Yeah.
It's a little greenhouse, like a little.
All right. Yeah, it might be balled up in the corner, but it will work. That's how mine was too.
Mm-hmm.
And now it stores all my pots, and it's awesome.
Yeah, I can't wait to get my greenhouse together. That's a project we're going to work on when we get back.
Containers. I don't need nobody's containers, y'all. I got containers.
Daniel Evans, I'm gonna just say amen. Thank you for joining our our live chat tonight.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So we got
what's up in here.
Go back to the list. So we got potty mix garden soil.
So we did got potty mix.
When do you use garden soil? Let's be very specific of when to use it.
I would say you will put it in with your. I always tell people use it in your native soil. That's what I've been told.
Definitely.
Mix it with your native soil. Some people use it in their garden beds, but they use it after they add the vermiculite and perlite. But we haven't talked about that yet.
Don't put them in your containers.
Yeah,
they're not good for container growth. So don't put them in your sips. You want potting mix only in your sips. Don't ever put garden soil. Garden soil is for when you're going to put it in the soil. Like if you're going to do no-till, throw your garden soil in there, put it on the bottom, or like Miss Sheeta says, if you're going to add the vermiculite, you're going to add your worm castings, you're going to add your perlite, all that kind of good stuff that you might be adding. Only do it if you're going to do it in native soil. Don't use them in your containers.
All right. Cece, what you eating?
Yeah, because we all have to share our
she didn't pull something new out.
Bluebell ice cream.
Bluebell ice cream.
That sounds really good.
Good evening, Food Forest Permaculture. Thanks for joining us.
All right. So Shelly, let's talk about we talked about fungus gnats already, right? I heard y'all talking about it.
Well, it was
vermiculite and cinnamon.
We didn't tell them how to do it. So go ahead, Miss Shelly's ready to talk about this.
Fungus gnats.
if you say so. So what I have learned from my gardening friends this year, that there are methods to keeping the fungus gnats and mold down. One of which is to put vermiculite on top of the soil after you plant your seedlings. And vermiculite actually helps with maintaining moisture. But when you have your seedlings, especially if you're bottom watering, which you should for your seedlings, it helps keep the top level of the soil not too soggy. So therefore you don't have the mold growing and destroying your plants. I have not tried, but I have heard that you can also sprinkle cinnamon on top of your soil to help keep the does that keep the fungus down, or it just keeps the gnats?
Gnats and the fungus, both.
Okay.
That's both. Yep.
All right. So I haven't tried that yet.
And go to the dollar store. Or the $1.25 store. Don't go to Giant or wherever your fancy Walmart or whatever it is to go get your cinnamon. Go buy it at the $1.25 store, Dollar General, for $1 for that container.
Thank you for reminding me of that, Jacqueline, because you know me. I will just go and
I mean, it's hard to go to Amazon for it.
Or even Amazon, get the big bottle or whatever, but don't spend McCormick brand cinnamon.
Buy
your dollar store brand cinnamon. It will do the job.
Mm-hmm. All right.
And someone asked what kind of soil not to put in containers. Once again, do not put garden soil in your sips, in your containers. It's too heavy. You need potting mix. You need something that's going to be able to
drain,
to let the water out or keep just enough water out, because garden soil is just going to hold water in containers, and that's just going to mess up your roots. So don't use garden soil. Use that in your raised beds. Use that direct contact to your regular soil, your native soil, but do not put them in your sips. Your plants will not do anything in sips. They will die.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
And
right.
we don't want them to die. We want them to live.
And declare the works of the Lord. You better tell them.
Yes.
Right. Isn't it amazing how just one little word will take you over to the other side?
Yes.
Girl, listen,
garden soil, I should say garden. So you will see potting soil, which is fine as long as it's got coco coir, sphagnum peat moss, that. But when you get into garden soil, the bag says garden soil, then you want to make sure that you do not put that in your containers, please.
All right. So let's talk about growing.
Ladies, that what I just recently bought. What? It's not in my sips though. It's in my raised beds. Isn't that what I just bought?
Yes, garden soil. Yes, but you put it in your raised beds.
Because your raised beds are going to end up with worms and bugs, and they're going to tunnel through and aerate. Right? Is that the reason why? I feel like that's my mind. That's my mind. I'm making it up.
What? No, you say it's too heavy to have in this self-irrigated.
Yeah, way too heavy. Yeah,
containers. But what I do want to say is, so I recently purchased a ton, and I do mean a ton of soil from Wally's World because it was on sale. 2 cubic foot bags were like $4 and some change, and we probably purchased about.
That was a lot. Yeah.
Huh? Well, we got 2 loads, so we probably bought about 40 bags. I have 3 bags left, which I know I'm gonna need some more because I have a couple of my 1 foot raised beds that I have not filled yet. But what I want to say about that is, when I shared it in our garden chat, Jacqueline said, she's like, you're gonna still need to amend that, and so I'm sharing with you all that I did amend that garden soil in my raised beds. I had big bags of vermiculite and big bag of perlite, thanks to Jacqueline. And so I added those things to the garden soil in my raised beds to help aerate that soil and make it a little more of a happy place for my plants.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But let's talk about that too. So Shelly opted to buy the big bags. If you've got 5, 6, 7, 8 beds because you just went all in, you're like, I'm gonna be Miss CC level gardening here, and went ahead and bought all these beds. Think of an option of possibly contacting, buying loads of good potting soil or good garden soil. You can buy truckloads, $60, and then probably use it to fill all your containers versus
Girl, I don't know where you talking about no $60 at, but because I did get a truckload when I did the first 3 8x4 beds. I had a truckload of soil delivered to my house, and it still wasn't quite enough. I probably should have gotten some more, but it was not $60.
But was it still cheaper than buying all the bags?
Yes, it was definitely cheaper than buying all the bags. And had we not been, my husband was concerned about them dropping the soil on the grass again and having to, recover the grass. So we opted to buy bags this year for the new beds that we added.
Okay, I know earlier when Shelly was talking about how you can fill your beds with other things, but she just completely filled hers with soil. Mm-hmm. I am opposite. I'm going to fill it with something, the bottom part. I first put cardboard at the bottom there, at the bottom of my raised beds. And then I collect logs, tree limbs, tree branches, all that. I put that in there. Leaves. I collect leaves all through the fall time, put them in bags. So when I need to fill a raised bed, I have it, fill it up with leaves. Then I put topsoil in the bottom part, even though it's, because topsoil is really just what they scrape off the top of the ground and they sell it to you.
Yep.
Yep. And so I put that at the bottom of there. then I put my compost, and then I put my food scraps. When I put my compost, I put food scraps, all your table scraps that you got, put it in the bed, and then I put my potting soil or my raised bed soil on there. I do it in layer like lasagna style, and so then I don't use as much soil, but it does break down. It does take a little bit, but it does break down. Which is all going to make soil is going to make a comment, but your beds will get low, so you will
right. And I agree with you 100% on that, CC, because I did so in one of my beds that I put together last fall, but I never filled it. Over the fall, we did put leaves and grass in there, and by the springtime, it was already broken down. So I would do that and use grass clippings and things like that. Especially if I'm doing it well enough in advance. But if you just like starting out and you want to get that bed filled, that's the only reason I did full soil.
Yeah. So it also depends on where you at in your planning process as well.
Yes.
So if you don't have a garden and you're planning on having a garden, that's one thing you want to think about. That's what I heard before I started my garden.
And then also another thing I was going to say is you got to think about plants, or their roots are not as long as you think. And all roots don't go straight down. Some go across the surface, it's just barely under the ground. So you don't have to have so much deep soil, because that's just wasted space of, nothing's growing there.
Right. And when I amend the soil, I only amend the top, several inches.
6, 7, 8. Yep, 7 or 8 inches. That's it. That's all you need to amend. Yep.
All right. So let's talk. We can making good time. We got 19 minutes. Can we do this in 19 minutes?
Oh yeah.
We got cocoa coir, peat moss, vermiculite, and perlite. We talking about these things that we use in the soil. So I know we hit on cocoa coir earlier a little bit, talking about your seed starting mix, but Shelly put herself down, so she can go maybe in depth.
Girl, what?
Shit, cocoa coir, baby, cocoa coir. What is cocoa coir, Shelly?
I said I was gonna do some research before I got on here tonight, but that didn't happen. But cocoa coir is basically the outside part of a coconut that they have basically grinded down, shredded up so that it's fine enough that you can actually use as a growing medium. When you first purchase it, it is very, very condensed. They do it usually in bricks about this size. And when you add your water to it, it's like this. Like it's a lot. So as Cece talked about, it's cleaner. Is that, I don't know if that's the term you use for using inside of your house. You don't have to worry about the pests and things that are in soil. It is also, which we didn't talk about on tonight, it is also one of the primary resources if you do worm composting is cocoa coir. I do have a worm composter. It is not currently active. I did have it active for about 1.5 years and still have worm castings in there, but that's what I use to start my worm casting is cocoa coir.
All right, cocoa coir. So that's something you can use. You can purchase that wherever it can be found. Okay. Peat moss. What is peat moss? Somebody want to talk about peat moss?
Peat moss is an alternative to cocoa coir. Just that a lot of us are using cocoa coir because it's better on the environment. Peat moss is destroying a lot of the peatlands. So you're going to hear people, like Cece said, people got their own camps. I don't use peat moss because I don't want to destroy any more of our lands, and peatlands people are very passionate about not using peat moss versus cocoa coir. So they're used alternatively. They both do the same thing. They're not dirt. They are soil mixes. So it's better for your plants, especially if you are in containers. You either want to be using peat moss or cocoa coir, one or the other, in order to start your starter mixes. You can use cocoa coir, you can use peat moss, either one. for seed starting mix, but they're just the alternative to the other. It's just how they're resourced from our earth.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. So you use peat moss or cocoa coir. I did use peat moss in my sweet potato bags last year. I want to say I prefer cocoa coir because I used cocoa coir this year to do my seed starting mix. I prefer the cocoa coir. Just reading up on it, and y'all do know that even though this is a beginner's thing and we're giving you some information, you don't have to take our word for anything. You can always do your own research, read up, make your own decisions, so that you know what's going on. So Cynthia, you want to talk about perlite or vermiculite?
I use both, so I'll talk about perlite.
Okay.
So perlite is pretty much, I don't know what, Jackie might know what it actually is. I don't know exactly what it is.
It's volcanic glass, so it's stuff that they just get from the volcanoes.
Okay, the volcanic
glass.
Perlite.
Perlite. That's all we can call it.
You'll see it in your potting soils and stuff like that. What it is to aerate your soil. So that is what those little white specks that you see when you have your potting mix. That is what it is. It's to give your air can be able to flow through your soil better. The plants be able to push their roots through there as well. So it just helps break up the soil, so it won't be the potting mix, so it won't be so tough on the plants. So
okay, I'm laughing at Tiptoe. Says tips out the chat to go buy a huge block of peat moss. I don't know if she buy a big block of peat moss or cocoa coir, but anyway, I thought that was funny.
The Educated Natural, I think
cocoa coir has sauce in it
right here,
and to make sure it's buffered. Peat moss is acidic, so make sure you have lime on hand to balance the acidity to bring down the pH if needed. And so, if you need it to be a higher pH soil, you could use peat moss as a medium. I think I read something like that before. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you, Educated Natural, because I hadn't thought about that, but when I saw your comment, it made me think about when Jacqueline and I were putting my sips together, that we actually mixed in domitic lime into the mix. So now that makes sense.
Okay. Yep. So I guess I'll talk about the vermiculite. Vermiculite, in my mind, this is how I put together, is the cousin to perlite because it comes from a volcano as well. Vermiculite holds water, not excessive water, but it holds moisture. So your soil can keep moisture content. So when I first started, because you're saying, because this is how I thought, well, if I wanted to drain, I'm using perlite. Why do I want to put vermiculite in it if it's going to hold water? Listen, you want the water to drain, the excessive water to drain. But you also want some water to be retained in that soil so you ain't watering every 2 seconds and your roots go dry. Okay. So I learned that. So you do need both. All right. So vermiculite and perlite. So I feel like we covered a lot of material. Y'all know I love education, right? And I'm not talking about school education because I can't do that. But I like learning new things and I like sharing what I've learned. And so I feel like this was a great beginner session. If you know some beginner gardeners, go ahead, share that with them. We talked about, we didn't have a lot of interactive pictures and nothing like that because I don't know how to do all that right now, but I think it was good. If you have any other questions,
that was awesome.
I think this was everything. Great session.
If you have any other questions, you can contact me at ironbrandage@gmail.com or any other ladies that you are following, that you are watching through. Lisa, if you are here, Lisa's not here, but if you're following us and you follow Lisa, if you follow Cynthia, Jackie, or Shelly, you can ask all of us that question. That'll be something that we can get together and talk about.
Yeah.
But it is just great talking about the garden. And so these are just some simple terms. There's some other things. Me and Shelly kept saying there's got to be some more we can tackle. But I think this list was enough for tonight's session.
Yeah,
right?
It was.
Always circle back because we're going to always have newer people to talk about that. And so we appreciate you joining in. Ladies, you know what we didn't share, even though we talked about a little bit, what's happened in the last couple of weeks in the garden.
Child.
Or not in the garden in life. I feel like I tell my life story every time we come on. So and somebody else got something they want to share for the last 2 weeks.
I got my cabbage. I got my cabbage in my raised bed.
Okay.
So I got that in. I'm going back to this. Like, I don't know how to keep things watered, like making sure that things get watered. Like, I'm not good with this raised bed stuff. Like my sips, I throw it in there, I throw water and it self-waters. And I gotta remember to go out to my raised beds and water them.
How often do you fill your sips?
How often do I what?
Fill your sips.
Right now, once a week.
Are you watering once a week? Can you water that when you do your sips?
I guess, but I don't know if it's going to be enough water. That's my
issue. This is a learning curve, right?
Yep, this is a learning curve.
If you give it a week,
and she's a lazy gardener, so she's struggling with that.
And you go out there next to your life, then you know a week is too long.
Yeah, a week's too long. Yeah,
you need to go 2 days before you go do your sips.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Or maybe if let's just say you do sips on Monday, just for my mind.
Yes.
Maybe you do sips on Monday and you water your cabbage on Monday. And then Thursday, set you a reminder on your phone. Thursday, go check your plant, see if it needs some water. If it do, give a little love.
Yep.
And then on Monday, you back on your sip schedule.
Yep.
It don't have to be hard.
I know.
It don't.
You can like one of those probes that you can put in the ground and check the moisture.
Like Shelly said, I'm a lazy gardener. I'm telling you,
girl. I'm trying to. I am too. That's my garden be a mess. But I'm trying. I'm gonna give me some of these sips, and I'm gonna start to get some irrigation. I'm gonna get some stuff automated. Cause listen,
yes,
I don't mind growing food, and sometimes I like putting my hands in the dirt, and sometimes I don't mind being out there. But sometimes, when you don't have the time, your
time gets you. Yep.
I mean, are you really a gardener if you have all this automatic stuff and it's doing everything?
Say that again.
And saying that again. Are you really a gardener? You do everything. I just stand here and look cute.
And don't automatically pick yourself.
Do you know how much time it takes to get it automatic? It still took me time to get it automatic.
That just means you're smart.
But yes, God's desire, I'm going to set up a schedule on my phone for my other plants.
Yeah, just try it. It might not be that hard. And since you only have the one raised bed?
One.
Yeah, you only have to water the one.
I love watering.
That's
like therapy in itself. I like sitting there watering. I'm a waterer.
I just want to sit out there. I water it, get them watered, and then I just like to sit out there and talk to them and touch them. And that's how I connect with my plants.
Yeah.
Watering is not going to be a problem.
Right.
Automatic gardener.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Cynthia won't judge you even in her mind.
She can judge me. That's okay. And that's all right. I will still go out there with my
plants. Judge me today because I want you to know, CC, that when I was planting out the garden these last couple days, girl, I was in the dirt. Like bare hands in the dirt.
But did you get dirty?
My nails were so dirty. I said, "Oh,
your hands." That was
proud of me.
You should have sent us a picture.
I meant to, but I was too busy. I was really way too busy. But I really thought about it while I was out there. I said I need to take a picture of my hands and put this in the chat. Yes. But let me tell you, because I've planted out my whole garden, I'm gonna focus on just one thing that I am really inspired by. Don't be laughing at me, Educated Natural. So I think I had posted, I think I did a YouTube short about the onions that I had growing. And remember, I had showed that one was like well above the soil. Mm-hmm. And I was using my little seed thing to push it down. And somebody commented like, "Nah, that's not gonna work." But I am here to tell y'all that when I planted my onions out, not one of them was dead. So I am looking for a very full harvest of onions this season, as long as they do well outside, because they are looking good.
I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad to hear that.
Yes.
Woo.
Even my husband, he was saying, "Well, you can still see the roots right here," when he was out there sort of inspecting my work. That's what I'm gonna say he was doing. And I was like, "No, all you want is the roots up
Just the
underneath
roots.
the
And it
soil,
works.
you know." And so what I did when I planted them, I dug a like trench, and I had this side a little raised up, and I laid them in there on the soil so that the roots was just hanging down, and then I covered the roots.
Yeah.
And then when I was done with all of them, I tried to do like a little furrow so that they would stand up just a little bit. So I'm going to be super excited when I get back home to see their progress.
Right.
That is great. So I think we're gonna start a segment, y'all. Cynthia, are you a really gardener? If when Cynthia gonna bring up something that we either gonna laugh at or we gonna be ready to fight her about.
So much fun.
So Cynthia, get your list started. I think that's
y'all don't want to open that can of worms.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
I
We're gonna open that can of
open it.
worms.
Now I'm gonna tell y'all something. Cause see, that's the thing. We had these preconceived notions. I watched a lady on YouTube that had something happen. Her husband is no longer in her home with her children. So she's rebranded her page and says she's a single mom. You know, people was trying to tell her that she wasn't single because she wasn't struggling. She wasn't single because she had a husband and he left me. She wasn't single. How you gonna tell that woman she ain't single? You ain't a single mama. It's not you a single mama because you struggle. If you single and got kids, that make you a single mama. That's the
period.
But
no cap.
I brought that up to say, you know, we had, and so I want Cynthia to bring them out there so we can refute these things.
Some of these myths that she has lingering in the back of her mind.
Are you really a gardener? Yes. That's why you got the lazy gardener, the indoor gardener, the outdoor gardener. You got the farmer. You got the homesteader. They all in their own.
Well, you know what? I'll tell you what. When it's the end of the, you know, when things like they say hit the fan, I want to be with a real gardener.
Yep. That's right.
Ain't no store that be open to go buy your starts.
Guess what I did get, Cece, though, this week? I started looking for my Carolina cross. And I found them. I found them at Tractor Supply.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I couldn't believe it.
What?
Yeah. Okay. Tractor Supply has I got my 200-pound watermelon coming up.
Woo-hoo!
It's coming.
Girl.
In a sips.
So let's talk about that real quick, because this is pretty much the final week to enter Watermelon Wars.
You have to Wednesday.
Okay. Well,
you have to Wednesday.
You have to post
in your entry.
Wait.
Tell me what I gotta do.
Wait. You gotta post a video.
That's not fair.
You gotta post a video.
You have to post a video in April in order to enter the Watermelon Wars. So
that's not fair because we can't plan out till May.
You gotta show them
you don't have to show them.
You're only plant some watermelon seeds out there.
You don't have to. You can just say, "I want to enter it."
Okay.
You can say something about this is whatever your channel name, and I want to be part of the entry of Watermelon Wars.
Oh, we don't have to be planting the seeds.
You don't have to plant. No, you don't have to see them getting planted.
Here's my video right here. Do you see my video?
No, I want to see it on YouTube. We have been fussing with Jacqueline about posting her videos that she has clearly been recording and not posting on her channel. So can y'all in the chat right now just give Jacqueline some encouragement? Tell her to go on and post them videos. They don't need to be perfect.
See, no one said anything.
They about to tell you. They about to tell you.
But yeah, because you don't have to plant it from seed. It is not that you have to plant your watermelon from seed. You can buy a start, transplant, whatever.
Oh, Laura said you only have to say that you're entering.
All right, good. That's what my
video says. You don't have to show you dropping them seeds.
All right, I'm gonna get my video up. Tell me that.
Y'all got till Wednesday to get it in.
All right, I'll do it. I'll do it tonight.
Okay.
Because I'm gonna just do the video. It's not gonna look pretty. It's not gonna look pretty. It's just
we don't care if it's pretty.
You guys
you got to use the hashtag, and you also have to Broke Farmer. Is it Regina? Gina versus Gina.
All right, Cece, just throw it up in the girls chat so I know what to do correctly.
There's the Watermelon Wars 2020.
I got to do mine too, so.
Yeah, do y'all do just enter. So y'all gonna make broke farmer pop out. Listen, he was in here last week. He ain't come here this week.
I know. Right. No, I thought he was in here.
It's all right, y'all. But it's been real. It's really been real.
I've been creating images for it. Y'all wait till y'all see it.
It's gonna be nice. It's gonna be nice. But we thank y'all for coming on. We thank you for joining us in this garden chat and talking about this beginner terminology. Just want to help people out because we're sitting here throwing around terms that a lot of times I didn't have a clue about. And I'm watching YouTube videos and Googling at the same time because I'm like, I don't know what they said, what that means. So hopefully we got some of the work done in one place for you with a little commentary in between. So thank you for being here. Thank you for doing it. Thank you, Jacqueline, Cece, and Shelly. Thank you, Lisa. I know you're not here, but she out doing the Lord's work. Listen, she helping other folks garden growing. And listen, and that's a blessing. Because we need one another. Cynthia alluded to it. When stuff go bad, you gonna need each other. You gonna need each other, and you gonna need more than just a garden. You gonna need the Lord on your side, but we ain't gonna talk about all that tonight. But we thank y'all for being here. Thank you for watching us. If you have not followed or subscribed to any of our channels, feel free to do so. If you haven't liked this live stream on the platform, on the channel you're watching it, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up button. We appreciate the interaction here. And before we go, I do want you to know that you are blessed. You are highly favored. You are the apple of your Father's eye. He is absolutely and positively concerned about you. He thinks that you are the best thing since sliced bread. You can cast your cares on him and know that God cares for you and he loves you with an everlasting love. And there's nothing and nothing you can do about it. You all have a wonderful, blessed day. And we'll see y'all in a couple of weeks.
Bye, y'all.
Bye, y'all.